The Earnestly Speaking podcast is a show that is founded on free-flowing conversation and may at times venture into mature subjects. Listener discretion is advised.
Earnestly Speaking podcast here coming to you on November 12th, 2020, a day before Friday the 13th. How you guys doing? It's been a little while since I did a little solo podcast. Last show I did by myself was actually the day before Election Day, which, kind of seems like months ago or weeks ago. But so much has happened between the lead up and then where we're at now. As of right now, and which should obviously hold up, Joe Biden did win the election. He is now the 46th president, will be, inaugurated on January 20th, 2021. He is the now president-elect of the United States, although our current president has not conceded. But, all the optics right now are going towards Joe Biden, of course. When it's all said and done, he would have actually won a election that actually won't look as close as it kind of felt those 3-4 days prior to him last Saturday clinching the election, which again seemed like ages ago. Too, it's only 5 days ago he was elected president, and it feels like weeks ago because so much is happening between then. But yeah, it was a stressful week. With the election, leading up to the election, and of course, all that. I pretty much right now, if everything holds as it looks like it's going to, because remember the last couple states we were looking at for the election, you're looking at obviously Georgia. Biden's up in Georgia by about 12,000 votes. There will be a recount for that though, definitely. Pennsylvania, he's now up big by 50K. Some people are saying that it could get as high as 100,000 votes. Lead he'll have when it's all said and done. We'll see, but it's definitely out of the recount margin. Arizona was actually called today by a couple sources, although CNN still has not called it Arizona for Joe Biden yet, but he's expected to also win Arizona as well too. I think the other state, Alaska was called for Trump actually finally, which is weird. I'm surprised Alaska held out this long, but is what it is. Obviously, Nevada was another state I think we were holding up for the Biden one, obviously. So when it's all said and done, like after those, 3 days between Election Day and then the announcement about Biden winning the election, there's definitely a lot of tension, a lot of tension on both sides, really. Even my household. I mean, my wife and I, we had obviously we were invested in this election. We both voted for Biden. And, there's a lot of tension because especially for her on her end, because she, probably more so than me, definitely more so than me, much more liberal, not a Trump guy. I'm not a Trump guy myself, but I was a little more, rational about it, I guess you will. People have said I've defended Trump a little bit too much. I find Trump to be very entertaining. I think there was some things he did good, but overall the things that matter to me, wasn't really something that, wasn't to my liking. But it was definitely a very stressful week and burned me out, to the point where, I wanted to do a reaction podcast after the election or after, it was called, but I honestly didn't have the motivation to record till now. In fact, I'm still burnt. Honestly, I'm thinking about taking a couple weeks away from the show just to kind of get back to normal a little bit. So, one of the things for me, I'm looking forward to, I'm hoping that we get back to this, especially after, Trump's out of power, which is in January, in about 71 days, whatever, maybe, is a return to normalcy. Will we ever get there? I don't know. But that's my goal. 'Cause I'm burnt out. These 4 years have been very, very stressful. If you, regardless what side you're on, if you follow politics, like the way I do, especially, it's definitely a very stressful time. Because you definitely get burnt out. There's so much that's happened between, from the time the last election in 2016 to, Trump getting elected, Trump getting inaugurated, and then everything that happened in between. Him getting impeached and all these protests and everything. So much happened. I feel like I've aged about 20 years in these 4 years, honestly. By the way, I'm about to, if this, like I said, if this thing holds, all the states hold, as I was mentioning, I kind of got sidetracked on that. If these states hold, which it's supposed to hold for Biden, I will nail the Electoral College exactly the way I predicted. I had Biden at 306, I had Trump at 232, and right now, the way it's going to look right now, it's going to be that way. The only thing I got wrong on the Electoral College was the states. It was 2 states. I actually had North Carolina going to Biden and Georgia going to Trump, when in fact the opposite is going to happen. North Carolina goes to Trump, Georgia goes to Biden if the recount goes through, of course. So yeah, but yeah, this election took a lot out of my family. It really did. Joe Biden, like I said, I did vote for him. I don't like. Normally, I got into the habit of not sharing who I vote for because it's private. It's something I like to keep myself. But Joe Biden wasn't necessarily my first choice either. I did say 2 years ago in this podcast, and even a year ago, even up to a year ago, that he was probably the best chance of Democrats beating Donald Trump in re-election. Just because of the name, he's known, the Obama effect, and all that. But it was my first choice. I told folks, I've been saying, the only person I felt I was impressed by in the primaries, and I say Democratic primaries because that was the only other side really realistically had a chance of getting involved in the political sphere this year anyway. Was Andrew Yang. I was a big Andrew Yang guy, but of course Andrew Yang had no shot. I mean, I don't think he made it out of Iowa, honestly. So I was a big Andrew Yang guy, and Andrew Yang actually was a consultant to Biden's campaign after. And he's an interesting guy. Well, so hopefully he's still around. Hopefully he has a name and has a voice in politics in the next couple of years, because I think he'll be a guy you really want to lean on. A guy who's lots of ideas. A guy who's not, all about this. Okay, well, we're voting because we don't want Donald Trump. He actually has ideas, whether you agree or disagree with it. But Joe Biden wasn't necessarily my first choice, but in this election, he ended up being my only choice. His story, very tragic, obviously. Losing his first wife and his daughter in a car accident. Back in 1972, I believe it was. And then losing his son Bo to cancer in 2015. I'm actually rewatching The Circus right now, from the beginning when it started in 2016, and his, I didn't remember this, but Joe Biden's sister Valerie, who's him and Joe are very tight. And looking back now, watching this, after the fact, when Joe Biden's now, winning the election. She said that Joe Biden had every intention to run for president in 2016 until Bo died. Until Bo got stricken with cancer. And once that happened, it was a choice to either be there for his son or, campaign. And campaigning's a commitment. You can't just you can't half-ass it. So he obviously he made a commitment. He made a commitment to stay and spend time with his son Bo. Very tragic, story in general. But it's nice to see a happy ending on his end. From a personal point of view, wherever partisanship you lay on, wherever political leanings you lean on, it's nice to see a nice story, something being realized. Because Joe Biden had 2 other failed presidential attempts, once 1988, one in 2008. But it's a good story. Love Jill Biden, his wife, Dr. Jill Biden. My cousin actually, hosted both of them at her house in Tennessee last year. Saw the videos of it. Very cool thing that happened. And one thing I want to tell you, as much as entertaining as Donald Trump is, one thing I'm really looking forward to is embracing boring. Joe Biden is pretty much boring. Let's be real. And I mean it respectfully, in comparison with Donald Trump. For years, the last couple of years, talk about having government back in the background. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to not having my phone blow up every 2 minutes about a Trump tweet or Trump what did Trump say today, or some update about Donald Trump. Looking forward to actually not having to worry about that for a little while. Now, speaking of Donald Trump, he still hasn't conceded the race. He's already accusing of voting, making accusations for voter fraud across the board. Although there is no evidence to actually speak on that. Just saying. His behavior, in my opinion, since the election has been deplorable. In my opinion, You know, I'm not saying he doesn't have a right to investigate or recount. I am all for litigation if you feel like you were slighted. Not against that whatsoever. But the behavior, there's actually a way to do this without looking like a dick. Let's be real. And Donald Trump is, act like a dick. Now, from my perspective, what I think is happening here is this. I think he knows he lost the election. I think he knows he has no shot at winning it. I think he knows there's no rampant voter fraud or cheating. I think this is also all a scheme, in my opinion, to pay down debt for his campaign. As we heard for weeks, his campaign was broke. They were pulling out ads out of different states in the weeks leading up to the election. Lots of grifters he had toward his campaign. We heard for months and upon months that this campaign didn't have money, and this is the campaign that was raising money from the time he got inaugurated for his re-election campaign. And now they're broke? A lot of grifters. Brad Parscale, his original campaign manager, supposedly took a lot of money off from the campaign and put to himself and bought cars and houses and all this stuff. A lot of grifters involved in the campaign. And I think you're seeing like a lot of Trump supporters are getting emails from the campaign about helping out to fight the good fight, be a patriot, and donate money so we can go and fight this, fraud of, the election being stolen. No, it wasn't stolen. There's no proof. And these court cases are going into like these appeal courts here, and they're losing left and right. Is it possible that one person probably had voter fraud? Yeah. 10? Yeah. 50? 100? 200 maybe? No. Yeah, of course. But widespread to the point where it's tilting the election, can you actually find 60,000 votes in Pennsylvania to swing the election? And even if there's this cheating going on, how do we know it's actually not being cheating for Trump? How do we know that the cheating? Because he can't even prove it's actually cheating for Biden. You just say it's cheating. Okay, fine. But are you cheating for Trump or for Biden? You don't even know that. No, it's ridiculous. As for his future, and I'll be honest with you, I've been saying for quite a while now that I'm pretty fascinated about the future of Donald Trump if he wasn't reelected. The future of the Republican Party. Now, this is what's fascinating with the Republican Party now too. Trump actually got the second most votes in history of America, better than Joe Biden. 72 million people in counting have voted for Donald Trump for president this year. A lot of Republicans, I believe, voted Joe Biden, and then down ballot are the rest of the way. And what was they voted for Joe Biden, and then they voted for Republicans. Senate seats, House seats, whatever it may be. The Republicans still gain 8. I think they netted 10 seats in the House. They held on to the Senate for now. We'll see what happens in the runoffs in Georgia come January. So this is what I'm making any sense. If you're gonna cheat for Biden, would you just cheat across the board? Cheat, vote for Trump, vote for Biden, and then vote for, the Democratic senators, whatever it may be. Like, if you're going to cheat, we're going to cheat across the board. I really believe a lot of Republicans did that. They voted for Biden and then voted all the rest of the way. I really believe that. Now, my mother, I know my mother's a lifelong Republican. She voted for Joe Biden herself. I'm a former Republican, voted for Joe Biden. I know a lot of Republicans I know that vote for Joe Biden. Not sure if they voted down ballot or I know a few that said they did, but I believe that that's actually a lot bigger coalition of people who do like conservative platforms and conservative, ideals, but don't like the guy at the top. So the way I said it in layman's terms was, the Republican voter who don't like Donald Trump probably said, "Thanks for the judges, thanks for the tax cuts, now fuck off." That's how you say it in layman's terms. So yeah, that's what I think would happen, honestly. But Trump is still going to be a big part of our lives moving forward. He's going to be. I'm going to assume there's rumors about this already too. Trump TV is going to happen at some point. I'm sure he's still the face of the Republican Party. He's going to be a part of our politics on the outside, and who knows? He may run again in 2024. There's a lot of rumors about him already looking into doing that. I could see it happening, but if you ask me if he'll do it, I'll say no. He'll be 79 at that point. I'm not trying to be ageist either, because Joe Biden's pretty old himself. But will Donald Trump have the stamina to do this? I don't know. I mean, he's a sharp guy for a guy his age. I'll tell you that. What he did the last couple of days prior to the election this year, doing 10 stops in 2 days, insane. But do I think he'll run again? I have my doubts. If I put a percentage, I'll probably put a 40% chance he runs for election in 2024. I'm very curious though who will be the Republican nominees or candidates for president in 2024. Obviously, you have some of the people that ran not this year, but 2016. The Ted Cruz's of the world and those people. You have Don Trump Jr. could do it. Ben Carson could jump in again one more time. People that ilk. I've heard Tucker Carlson's another favorite to do it. I don't know. It could happen. But Donald Trump is still the face of the Republican Party by virtue of the results. Like I said, the Republicans still gained the Senate, hold the Senate for now. We'll see how the runoffs go in January. They gain House seats, but they lose the White House, which again leads to believe that a lot of Republicans don't like Donald Trump but love the policies. Just saying. Makes sense. Make it make sense. People saying that it's a fraud, but if you're going to cheat, what, you're going to cheat across the board? Just saying. I don't know. So this is all in the rearview mirror now. Obviously, the election, sort of. We're waiting to see if Trump will concede finally. I don't know. I'm starting to get burnt out on the whole thing. Like I said, I'm watching the circus. I'm now on season 2 already. The reason we're watching it too, it makes you appreciate all of this last 4 or 5 years. But also I did miss season 3 and 4. I didn't watch season 3 and 4. I watched the first 2 and then I stopped. And I watched season 5 this year for the this year's lead up to the election. So I'm looking at it from scratch, and hopefully watch the seasons I missed. But it's been a fun ride. It's been a fun, burnt out ride with this. But anyway, who cares? Next one. Politics. Talking politics. It's been a big thing. It did lead me to reconnect some old friends of mine. One of my good friends, who's coming on the show way back in the early days. He actually reached out to me wanted to talk about, and he's a Trump supporter. He was a Republican Trump supporter. But he wanted to talk about politics, and we had a great conversation. And honestly, this should have been a podcast, because the way we were talking, it should have been a podcast. It was like an hour-long discussion about bipartisan, discussions about the world. This is right the day before, 2 days before, they called it a race for Biden, but it looked like Biden was going to win. Discussing the future and all that. He's a small business owner, so that affects him, of course. All this could affect him, depending on Joe Biden's policies. And I get that. I see his point. We had a really good conversation though, and that's the thing I think was missing today is no one wants to engage in honest dialogue without fighting. Because him and I we're actually closer to in somewhat in certain political spheres. Like he's a little more right leaning than I am. I'm more moderate. I'm a little more left leaning than he is on certain issues. But the things he said made sense, and some things I was saying to him made sense to him as well too, as he admitted to me. So, but we don't have enough of that. We don't have enough of good dialogue. But I've been connecting some old friends of mine. In recent months. One of my best friends, who I saw for the first time in over a year, about a month ago. Him and his family, his wonderful daughters, his wife, and then one of my oldest friends too, also, Eric. He was at my wedding too, especially. We unfortunately got in touch recently for sad reasons. His father unexpectedly passed away. His father, Dave, who also was friends with, great guy, Dave Wiener. He was a fantastic human being. Him and I used to have a lot of discussions especially online, about basketball, the Miami Heat, talk about a little bit about politics, sometimes about music. Great guy. But I haven't seen him in a couple of years. Like I said, and I've been saying a lot on this show too about, especially for me, as you get married, you have children, and you have young kids, and that world just eats you up to the point. Sometimes you don't even mean to lose touch, but it just happens. And Eric and I hadn't spoken probably about. We kept in touch a little online, of course, and maybe we'll send a quick text here and there, but we hadn't spoken to each other like in a conversation probably about I would say at least a year, maybe a year and a half. Haven't seen him in about 2 years. And then I find out, and the thing is, the only reason I found out was because one of his other friends, that were mutual friends of ours, posted on social media that he had passed away, which freaked me out. So I ended up calling him late last week, and we had an hour and a half long discussion. And we're going to try to keep in touch moving forward. I'm going to be attending the funeral next week. Reconnecting people, man, it's something I'm really taking more serious. People, especially people that invest in you, invest in them. And I'm a believer in that. I'm not saying I have to talk to everybody every single day. It's hard because he has his own life too. He's married. He has his own life, his career, and all that, and whatnot. I have my life, my family, my career. This podcast, of course, and all that. But I always say, continuing investing in people worth investing into, regardless of time. I go back to that quote from Kobe Bryant, which is obviously now, almost a year since his death. It's even more, shuddering now to think about, that, the biggest, he said, the quote, the biggest mistake in your life is thinking you have nothing but time ahead of you. I don't know if it's the exact quote, but it's something close to that. And it makes you think. Tomorrow's not promised. Next week's not promised. This next minute's not promised. Anything can happen. Me, somebody else, my kids, my friends. Anything can happen. Life happens. So it's important to make sure you keep an eye on the pulse. What's going on? Check in with friends. I know our lives are so hectic, especially now with COVID. But I'm just encourage people to make sure you, especially people that you really care about, family especially, check in. Always check in to make sure they're good, because you never know. And you don't want to regret not checking in enough. I already had enough regret not checking in with Dave, especially because Dave and I will talk off and on social media at least, and he had gone quiet for a little while. But him and I had a lot in common too. He's a minimalist. I am too. Gonna miss him. He was a great guy. It's funny, him and Eric. Like I said, I look at a lot of my friends, and the relationship with their parents. Like those two were tight. Eric and Dave were tight. They were like friends. They're father and son, obviously, but they were friends, like best friends. Really, sometimes you wouldn't know that when the way they talked, the way they hung out with each other. You go to breakfast every so often, and just the vibe. You wouldn't think they were father and son. No, they were father and son, but happened to be best friends too. And watching them for years, I always said to myself, that's the kind of relationship I want to have with my kids when they get older, especially too. Be able to hang out with my sons, go to ball games and go to breakfast and all this stuff, But yeah, it was a sad day when I found out. Dave was a great guy, great father. He had 3 kids. He had Eric, of course, his son, and then his daughter's, it's sad. His daughter, Stacy and Amanda. I'm praying for you guys, obviously. Probably won't hear this podcast, but if you do, I love you very much, all 3 guys, the whole family, the whole Wiener family. It's great. This, again, a reminder to check in with your friends and family, people you care about, because you never know. You never know. That's why especially with my parents and with my mother, I've been trying to make sure I stay in touch with them more often. There was a time a couple of years ago where I didn't do that. I was kind of like a little more standoffish because I had my life going on and my family and my priorities. But just check in. I might say do it every day. Just check in. You never know, man. You never know. So think about you, Eric. Love you. Obviously, and we'll see you at the funeral next week. So, what else I'll talk about before I go? Russell Westbrook wants out of Houston, apparently. Look, I'm a big fan of his. Been critical of him in recent years. I don't think he's a winning player. I think he's a phenomenal talent, solo talent. But he's not someone, and it's become more clear now as it gets older, that he's not someone. If you want to win a championship, he's not someone you want to put as your number one option. 1 year in Houston, and he wants out already. Apparently him and James Harden not getting along. I don't know. It's weird. I'm a little shocked, to be honest with you. If we win a title, man, he can't be a best player. It's just that simple. But, like I love his fire and his passion. But sometimes that same fire and passion could be a detriment to him and to his career. I mean, if he's going to be a champion, he has to be the third wheel probably. I don't even think it's even going to be a second player, best player in the team. I think it's to be a third wheel to be. So let's say he plays the Lakers, for example. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but say he plays the Lakers, LeBron and AD, and then Russ. That would be a good mix for him because he'll be insulated among the best player, 2 or 3 best players in basketball. I don't even consider Russell Westbrook no longer the top 10 player in the league anymore. And I said this 2 years ago, and it's coming to pass. I hate saying it because I love the guy. I love the passion, the fire, the dedication to the game. But again, it could be a detriment. But I don't know. I don't know where's he go. I heard Charlotte is definitely a suitor. I don't want him in Miami. I don't want to mess with that Bix. Yeah, I guess the Lakers would be a good fit, but I don't think it can afford him. Honestly. Goes to show you, Chris Paul was a better fit for that team than Westbrook. Goes to show you that Houston should make James Harden and the Rockets should have made it work out with Chris Paul. They were within an injury to Chris Paul from beating the Warriors with Kevin Durant. Makes you wonder, what if? Finally, before I go, NBA returning December 22nd, this week of Christmas. I'm excited about it, of course. No big reaction to it. I initially wanted them to wait till the January just because I thought it would be safer. But, hey, listen, there's a lot of money to recoup. So be it. It's a business. I get that. Looking forward to it, of course. I love basketball. Big turnaround because the finals just ended about a month ago. Big turnaround. Fast turnaround, but I get it. But, yeah, NBA come back on the 22nd of December. See what happens. As for the NFL, watching every week, but I don't feel plugged in. I really don't. The New York Giants, if they could play the Redskins every single week, to be unbeaten, they'd be the best team in football. But unfortunately, they do have to win against the Redskins, and that's it. But they're competitive, at least, though. At least they're competitive. I'm really excited about the Dolphins, though, what they're doing, the Miami Dolphins. They actually cracked my top 10, my power rankings this week. Number 10, in fact, on my power rankings this week. So, yeah, but I don't feel as plugged in the NFL season like I normally do. I don't know. Maybe it's just everything going around the election, everything else, stress. I've already been talking about like staying off social media for a little while, just kind of regrouping, taking care of myself, health, all that, taking care of my family. We went through a lot. By the way, we did. I mentioned a couple weeks ago on the pod about us losing a cat. We had put our cat down about 2 weeks ago. We bought a new one this week, actually, Mochi. She's a blessing so far to our family. Had her for the last couple of days. The kids love her. She's a great family cat so far. So that's good news on our end. So you got a new cat. Who would have thought B would be a cat guy? I was never a cat guy. I like dogs. I'm a dog guy. But as I got older, I want less responsibility, and dogs take a lot of responsibility. Cats are very hands off. You just give them a litter to shit in, food to eat, water to drink, and occasionally pet it, and you're good, right? So, so we got a new cat. So she's adorable, Mochi. I'll put a picture on my social media pages, momentarily. Let's see. Other than that, I think that's it. Check out the new Seven Dust and Busta Rhymes albums as well too. Both phenomenal. Especially Busta Rhymes. Oh my God, that new album is really good. Really, really good. Seven Dust never fails me, of course. One of my favorite bands of all time. Check it out. Until then, on Twitter at EJChristen7. Check out my newsletter, earnestlyspeaking.substack.com. I'm going to be posting all my stuff there. I pretty much shut down my website because why pay for a website when I don't need it anymore? Honestly. Let's check out my work on the Substack. And if you can, make it easy for you guys. When I write a blog or write an article, short article, whatever it may be, you can get it through your email box. There's an option to sign up on the email, of course. And that's it. It's all free of charge, man. Just free of charge to get my thoughts of the day on politics, sports, pop culture, my life, in general, anything. So until then, let you go. Love you guys. Take care and see ya.